the lab exam tomorrow, the same way that we were doing in the college. So I will give you a question. Other question maybe two programming question, one programming, one theory question. So that will be of 40 marks. If 20 marks, then obviously both the question will have 20. So you will get to know tomorrow, and I will share the list of question, the file. I will share the screen, and for every roll number I will give you a question number, so that person with the roll number would have to do only that question. So there is no change of question, so it is out of, you cannot change your question paper. Okay, so for example, roll number 62 has a question set 3, so you have to do only that question paper, you cannot change it. So this way we will go, and then after 30 minutes I will start the viva, which will be 1-to-1, and all students needed to open their camera throughout the exam. So if you have done before 3 hours and your viva is also over, you can easily leave, so that's not a problem. But you need to be present for that time. Attendance is very mandatory. So if someone miss, like, it's not possible for me to take a separate exam for every student. I'm not going to take it. I'll simply put a absent there, so your 40 marks will be gone for it. So be attentive and be just go through all the chapters, and I won't ask the general questions. See, I'm not looking for too much hard or too much easy. A general question that you should be aware of. You guys are already having the data structure, which is basically, if you see, the important things that we learn in C is the pointers and structures, and the data structure is completely application of it. The way you use this stack and then queue and then linked list. So I hope that you all are well prepared, but just for your reference, just for a quick revision, we are having today class. So be on the time. I will share the link in the WhatsApp group, and then using that you all will join here, and there will be no separate viva, no separate exam, so that's for sure. So each and every one of you has to be present that time. If anyone has any problem, then what the most max I can do, I will take your viva first, and then I will go for the rest of the class. And you have to complete your program when your camera need to be open. When I will call your name for the viva, you need to open your mic also. I will ask you question, 5 question or 4 question, depending on 5 question I will ask, each for 4 marks. Whichever you give correct, you will get marks for that. Now viva question could be anything from the program or anything from your file. Those who have this mini project ready, I will consider them if they are lacking somewhere. They have got any answer wrong in the program or any answer wrong in the viva, so I will cover up their marks from the mini project. Those who don't have, no need to worry. Again, for you also the total exam is of 60 marks, so then your performance depend entirely what you will do in tomorrow. Okay, so I will start with the function. We will make it very quick, okay? And I have already shared the link for Google Classroom, and in that you will get a PPT, PDF, and video lecture for almost every topic. So I have my recorded lecture also, link is already there, so you can download and for your reference if anyone wants it. And for Bharti, Bharti Rani. चले भाई, ये भारती तो बिजी है. हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू मैम. We should start with the class.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Start. Can start.
So most common why we use functions, because we don't want to do the same write the same job code every time. So we make a code that this is a user defined function, and there is another thing called library function. We all are aware of main, and some sorry main हो गया आपका sqrt function हो गया, various array string functions strlen, these are the library functions, scanf, printf. So if we want to do a job which may be needed several times, so we write it in a separate section, and then whenever is required, we simply call that function name. So for a function, three part is there: function, prototype, declaration, and definition. So prototype, the thing is that the entire heading, the syntax for the prototype, the definition and declaration, it not necessarily need to be same. That what need to be necessarily is the return type. Whenever we write the return type at the declaration, this is the place before the main starts. So we are basically informing the compiler ki you may heard this term, and this is defined by the programmer, and its syntax is like this. So it start with the return type. If we don't write any data type, then the function will be by default integer, and that data type space function name, and within bracket we write the parameter if we are passing any. If we don't want write the parameter, we want it to be dynamic. Basically dynamic by the mean, I'm saying that you don't need how many parameter we may be using. So in that case we use the three dots. So three dot basically shows that this function may take multiple parameter. It may be sometime two, it may be three. Okay, so I may ask you question that how I can make a dynamic function parameter, or how I can make a function to take different number of arguments, but we don't need to write it separately. So this way. Okay, and what if the what is the by default data type for a function? So this kind of questions may be in your Fiverr. So
Ma'am,
this is the hello.
ma'am, some few students are waiting.
Few students are still waiting. Okay. There we are. And then comes the definition. So definition is the part where we are actually telling the compiler what exactly needed to be done. So the thing is that with a function declaration and function definition, the syntax, the name of function at both the place should be same, the return data type should be same, number of arguments should be same, and the data type of argument should be same. Now the thing may differ, the name of the parameter. It may be possible here I have written in the declaration part that average take two argument int a and b. Now the a and b is simply showing that there will be two integer arguments, nothing else. Integer argument. Now that argument may be named as cd, maybe mn, op, could anything. But the mandatory thing is that both of them should be integer. There cannot be one argument, there cannot be more than two argument. There can be exactly two, and both should be integer. So that's way the syntax should be same. So return type would be same, float, the name of the function would be same, the data type of parameter should be same, and number of parameters should be same. The only thing that can differ is the name of parameter written over here and whatever we have written over here, that may differ. Okay, so whenever we have a function, the entire return type, name, data type, and argument type, this is entirely written. This is the declaration. When we have function name with round bracket and semicolon, so that is the calling. This part will be inside the main. And when we have the complete syntax followed by the curly braces, that means we are defining it. So three things need to be mandatory present before using before we start using it. This is a simple example. Here we have done the declaration, here we have called the function, and this part is the definition. So here see, in the calling it is num1 and num2, and here in the definition it is a and b. Doesn't matter, because in both here num1 num2 are both integer, and total number of argument we are passing to, here also we are passing the total number of argument. Now we have also seen the storage class, and I guess at the end of this we have storage class also. Just let me, not the storage class, the scope. Yes, okay, okay. So we will be covering the storage class also. So that's all about the declaration and that thing, then the return statement. Now when we basically call a function, we are passing the control from main to that function definition where the actual working portion is written. So if required, I may be processing something and I am giving back the result. If I need to give the result back, then I will be using the return statement. If not, then I will not use the return statement. So basically return keyword that we use inside the definition of a function is not a mandatory. If required, then only we can use it. Now thing is that inside the function definition there could be at max one return statement. But what if I want to return more than two value? So it may be like if my the sum is greater than 100, then I would say he has succeeded. If not, then he had failed. So this kind of message I am returning back. So using if else, I can return more than one value, but in actual I am returning only a single value, but it is conditional based. So that's all about the return statement. Then the how we are passing the parameters. Now there will be two way: call by value, call by reference. Call by value, we have taken certain number, certain input from the program main, from the main section. Now I am making a copy of it and passing it as an argument to the function. So when I am calling the function, I am only making a copy of the argument, and I will process over that. Now the original part is remain intact, and I will process, and further whatever is required I will do the task. But if I want to pass the value, and also if any changes has been made, I want it to reflect to the main also, I want that changes to be permanent, then I will use the call by reference. So call by value, simply the copy of it. So basically in call by value, int num equal to 2, this the place where there is a place where this two values stored, and the name of that block is num. Now here it is int n, so there is another block with the name of n, and there also we have the value 2. So these two are stored at different places. So whatever changes I do in this n, it will never be reflected back to main. So this is call by value. Then call by reference, if I want to make the change, then call by reference. So in case of call by reference, I do not copy the value, I basically pass the address where that value is stored. Now we all know that address is we can point the address by using the ampersand or address of operator. So in this program's the same program. Here I want to pass the value of num, and I need to make a changes in it. So here instead of making a copy of it, I have passed the address of num. Now the same block where this value 2 with the name and num is stored, the address is being passed here. Now we know this asterisk n is notation of a specific kind of variable which is known as pointer, because pointer are the only variable which is able to hold the address. So here because we are passing the address, so we need a variable which is able to hold the address. That's why we have used the pointer. So n equal to address of n. So here we have the pointer n which will hold the address of this num variable. And now I have made the changes into n, and that will be reflected back to main also. So after returning back to main, so when everything is done, here if I print the changes will be reflected. Then the scope. What is the scope of any particular variable in the C program? Whether it is only visible and alive within that curly braces, whether it is alive throughout the program, whether it is alive from the other file also. So this is all about the variable scope. Blocks scope, any variable. Look, see, inside x main we have this x variable, and then we have this while block, again we have the x variable. This x which is equal to I, this x key value will depend on I, and this x is basically alive only within this curly braces. So block scope, out of the block the value of x is what written for this main block. So inside x is equal to I, but when I come out of it, so x key value will be same as the 10, because outside this block there is another definition, x equal to 10, and this x equal to 10 is alive from this curly braces to this curly braces. So it will get priority over this x equal to y. So that is all about the block scope. Then the program scope. Program scope, if you want that function should be able to access some variable which are not passed them as argument. So I want that the a variable is visible to each and everyone throughout the program at the from the first line till last, from the first place where it is declared till the last line on the program. Then I should make it global. Global means visible to everyone because it is not within the scope of any section. So x equal to 10, here the x is equal to 10 is basically, if I when I print this for this void print function, when we want to print the value of x, so it will take this global value. Whenever we are inside block and I have the two variable with the same name, then always the local will get the priority. So inside main, the value of x is 2. So first when we are printing till this point, main has not declared its own x. So till this point the value of x will be 10 because of this global declaration. But now after this line, x, there are two variable with the name of x. One says 2, another one says value 10. So local will get priority. So here the value would be, the local value will of the x will be printed, which is 2. And once we come out of the curly braces of this main function, again this x equal to 2 is no longer visible to anyone. So that's why inside void print the value 10, which is a global variable x value, that will be printed. Then file scope. File scope is basically, if I want my program consists of multiple files and I want to access the variable declared at one place to some other, that can also be done. For this we to allow to have file scope, so we use the static keyword, and then in another file we declare the variable whose definition is given into another file, and these files are linked. So one at one place we make it static int, and another place we make it a global variable, and the value can be used from that. Okay, we will see in the scope storage class section. So comes the storage class. Storage class of C define the scope, basically the visibility and lifetime of the variable or any function. It is basically used to determine which part of memory is used to store the value of that particular variable. So here are the different storage class: auto, extern, register, and static. Auto, by default, if we don't mention any specific class, then it all every variable is of auto. So they are accessible within the block in which it is defined. So जिस curly braces के अंदर में variable defined है, वो केवल उतने ही तक ही visible है और तभी तक alive है, and they are stored in main memory and existence within the function or block. And by default they don't have any default value, so garbage. If we don't declare a variable their value, so it will take a garbage value. Then comes the static. Static basically accessible within the function or block in which is it declared. So जहाँ पे हम declare करते हैं केवल वहीं पे होता है. और अगर हम global, अगर हमने किसी फंक्शन के अंदर में किसी ब्लॉक के अंदर में किया, so it is visible within that. If I make any variable outside main, so basically that is a global space, and we have also declared it static, so accessible within the program in which is it declared. So that's way. Now the main thing about the static variable is that it basically retain the value between function call. So if I made a variable static within a function, whenever I will recall it, it will not get initialized every time. It will retain its last updated value. That's the usage of the static variable. And by default, its initial value is 0. So if I don't initialize it, so its default value would be 0. Then comes the register. Register is basically the variable which are frequently used, like the counter variable. For those are the register. So they are stored in the CPU register. That's why they call the register class, and exists within the function or block in which it is declared. Outside their existence doesn't exist. So by default they have the garbage value. Then come the extern. Extern is basically accessible within all program files that are part of the program. So if I want to make, that's the way we are saying the file scope. So one way in one file there are multiple file for a single program. So in one place I will declare I have declared the variable, and another place I want to use that variable. So I will make it static global variable at one file where it has been declared, and making it a extern variable, I can call that value from the another linked file. So by default, its initial value is 0. So this is an example. See, we have one file, file1.c, and I have another file, file2.c. This is an example of how we can use the extern keyword for the file scope. So here we have file x. So basically, if I want to use a variable declared in another file, I need to include that file. Okay, so as you can see here in this file1 program, I have included files2.c. So this way I can use, so as you can think of it that file2 is basically another header file or whatever. So if you are using the code chef, so there is an option where you can, for a single program, you can have a multiple files. Int x void print void, and here I have a variable x. Now this int x here, x is basically globally declared. Now here I have also declared x as local. So with inside the main, the value of x will be 10. Outside the main, I know that there is a variable named x, but I have not yet initialized. So that is what it is showing. So locally the value of x is 10, but globally there is no default initialized value for x. Now we have a file 2. So here we
Ma'am,
have it. Yes.
ma'am, if we declare a variable globally, then it is automatic variable. So auto,
No, no,
मतलब
no, no. See, auto is about, auto is basically within the block space. ऑटो मेरा जो होता है जब हम वेरिएबल को मेन के अंदर जो हम किसी वेरिएबल का स्टोरेज क्लास नहीं बोलते, दैट इज अ ऑटो. ओके, सो बट व्हेन आई राइट एनीथिंग आउटसाइड द मेन, दैट बिकम्स ग्लोबल. So
ग्लोबल
that
ऑटो
both
नहीं
the
हो
things are
सकता है
different.
मैम? अगर हम इधर लिखते ऑटो इंट एक,
और देखिए ऑटो स्टोरेज क्लास केवल ये बोलता है कि वेयर इट इज स्टोर्ड एंड इट्स बेसिकली हैव नो गार्बेज वैल्यू, यू कैन राइट इट, नो प्रॉब्लम, बट दैट इज नॉट हेल्पिंग यू फॉर एनी पर्पस. ऑटो स्टोरेज क्लास केवल इतना बताता है कि बाय डिफॉल्ट कुछ नहीं लिखा है तो वो ऑटो होगा, आउटसाइड इनसाइड चलिए ठीक है, बट इट इज नॉट हेल्पिंग यू. बेसिकली इन जनरल जो जो यूज होगा वो आपका होगा स्टैटिक एंड एक्सटर्न. सो जब हम स्टैटिक बोलते हैं, अगर हमने हम स्टैटिक कीवर्ड को किसी भी स्टोरेज क्लास को हम कहीं पे भी यूज कर लेंगे, बट ऑटो को अगर आप बाहर लिखते हैं, सो ये कह रहा है कि कोई डिफॉल्ट वैल्यू नहीं. सो देखिए, इवन इफ द वेरिएबल इज लोकल और ग्लोबल एंड नो अदर स्टोरेज क्लास इज डिफाइंड, सो इट इज ऑफ ऑटो स्टोरेज क्लास. सो ऑटो के लिए बोल दिया गार्बेज है, तो वो गार्बेज वैल्यू ही रहेगा, कोई डिफॉल्ट इनिशियल वैल्यू उसकी नहीं होगी. बट अगर हम उसको स्टैटिक बोल देते हैं या हम एक्सटर्न बोल देते हैं, तब हमें एक डिफॉल्ट
देन
वैल्यू.
जीरो, देन जीरो.
सो
ओके,
वी विल मेक इट स्टैटिक. नाउ यहाँ पे देखिए, यहाँ पे x जो है वो क्या है, x हमारा यहाँ पे जो x है ये हमारा अगर बेसिकली कोई स्टोरेज क्लास इसकी डिफाइन नहीं है, सो इट इज ऑफ ऑटो स्टोरेज क्लास. ओके, सो इफ I have given a value, I have not given here any value, but if I have given a value, uh, this should be static, it is missing here, static. Okay, so this is a static because if I want to make a file scope, so I have to mention it as a static class. So ये मेरा static है. अगर मैं इसको static नहीं करूंगी और मैं यहाँ file2 में extern next को call करूंगी, then it will not recognize it because this is of a auto storage class and इसकी existence केवल उसी जगह पे है जहां तक है जहां पे उसको declare किया गया. Outside that file and block, it is not visible. So हमने यहाँ पे static कर लिया. So static int x, outside main x की value 0 है, inside main x की value 10 है. नाउ हमने एक एक्सटर्न वेरिएबल को डिक्लेयर किया है. नाउ इफ यू सी दिस x इज ऑफ इंटीजर, फ्लोट और स्ट्रिंग character, we have not defined it because I am not declaring a new variable with the name of x. I am simply calling the definition of x which is written in a separate file. अगर यहाँ पे मैं extern int x लिख दूं, तब इसका मतलब ये हो जाएगा कि हम एक नए वेरिएबल को फिर से डिक्लेयर कर रहे हैं. बट हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हम नए वेरिएबल को डिक्लेयर नहीं कर रहे, वी आर सिंपली कॉलिंग द डेफिनेशन व्हिच इज रिटन इन अनदर फाइल. ठीक है, एंड दीज टू फाइल आर लिंक्ड. सो एक्सटर्न int x, एंड अगर हम यहाँ पे प्रिंट करेंगे देन इट विल गिव मी वॉइड प्रिंट में x की एक वैल्यू प्रिंट करेगा एंड मेन के अंदर फाइल 2C के अंदर मेन है, एंड ये है आपका मेन का पार्ट। ये जो मेन यहाँ पे जो हमने लिखा हुआ है, दिस इज द पार्ट ऑफ मेन हियर। Okay, so this is the program. So it is basically showing file inside file 1. If I call the print function, if I make use of the print function, then what it will be called, and in the file 2, if I call the print function for printing the value of x, what will be printed, because I have not yet defined what x is. I am simply calling the definition written for somewhere else. Next, recursive function, a function which call itself, then it's called the recursive function. Now thing is, sometimes you get a program, usually we can write whatever is recursive, we can write it in an iterative manner. That means recursive function is calling itself. Fibonacci program, factorial program, when I need to find factorial of n, I need to find the factorial of n minus 1 until I have reached the value of 1. Okay, so this is a basically recursive program. So factorial n equal to n into factorial n minus 1. I can do the same program using recursive. So I will run a loop n times, and inside the loop, basically I am multiplying n with the value of I. So this way I can find a recursive, so iterative version of the same program. So if not mentioned, you can use any of it. If it is a like you need to write a program for this, not mentioned, you can write recursive or iterative. But if it is mentioned that you write a recursive function program, then you have to write the recursive one. Okay, so here is the same example that I was telling. This is the recursive version of a factorial program. Then comes, this is the example for Fibonacci. Each one of you are fully aware of the Fibonacci. So if I give the value of n, so basically I am telling up to what term you need to print the series. So if I have said key 5 term, so basically up to 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. Fibonacci is what? Every term is the summation of the last 2 terms. एंड ऑलवेज ये 0 1 या 1 1 किसी से भी स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं आप। 0 1 पहले 2 टर्म को भी मान सकते हैं, आप पहले 2 टर्म को 1 1 भी मान सकते हैं। So this is the Fibonacci recursive Fibonacci code. Here I am calling the function with whatever term I want. I have given it in the end, and here I am calling it, and then if the number of terms is less than 2, I will return 1. If not, then we call the recursive version of Fibonacci n minus 1 plus Fibonacci n minus 2. These are the certain definition of recursion: direct, indirect, linear, tree, and tail. Direct, we are directly calling the function. Indirectly, here is the indirect function. 1 is calling the 2, and 2 in terms again calling the 1. So it is a recursion. So basically, to complete the task of func1, again I am calling the func1, but not directly. Func1 not directly calling itself. So indirect recursion. Tail recursion, here I am calling the fact and person, and then basically if no operation is pending, when I complete the task and I am coming back, no other operation is pending, then it is called as the tail recursive function. Tree, if it forms a tree kind of structure, Fibonacci is basically an example of a tree recursion. So for finding n, I need to find n minus 1 and n minus 2. Then for again each node, I need to find n minus 1 and n minus 2. So this is called the tail recursion. And last is the Tower of Hanoi program. I hope that you have all. I don't need to discuss this program. You have definitely covered it in your data structure. So pros and cons, recursion takes lots of memory, because for n I need to go for n minus 1 in factorial, and for Fibonacci n minus 1 and n minus 2. So and I have to hold the value, because when I am coming back I may need to do certain jobs. So that's why it takes lots of space. That's all about the function. Then next we will move on to the arrays. array is what? Array is basically collection of similar kind of data in a consecutive memory location. So you are all aware that when we make any array, so array, when I use the term array, so it is basically a collection of all integer variables and or collection of all fold. But when I have a collection of all character kind of thing, then it is separately named as string. Okay, so here we, this way, write the data type, then the name, and within square bracket the size. If I am not mentioning the size, then I should be initializing it. Here we are doing only the declaration, not initialization. So if I only do the declaration, I basically I am blocking the memory space but not telling what value to be stored. If I don't want to mention the size, then I need to initialize, because you cannot say that you need to block the space but I don't know how much space. This is if I want that, for a single dimensional array, if I want to find the address of any variable, given we have the base address, then using the formula I can easily found the address of the any particular element. We know for array, indexing in memory always start with the index number 0. So and the address of it is base address. Using the formula I can easily found the address of any element. So if I have the, here in this example the base address is 1000, so I can tell the address of the element stored at the index 3, index 6, index 7, any, by using the formula. Then storing array, I can either, I have the array and I am initializing it for the very first time. I can the array is already there with some empty spaces, or I can overwrite the value, or I can copy the value from one array into another. Either way we can initialize the array using any three of it. So here I am declaring as well as initializing. If I don't write the value here 5, but because the right side we have told that marks will be storing 5 marks is, so I know the size is 5. So how to calculate the length for any given array? So length is equal to upper bound minus lower bound plus 1. Now this is the example of simply initializing the array. Here we have declared that array is an array of size 20. Then within loop, using the scanf function, I am taking value of the array from the user, and then using the printf function I am printing it, that what exactly value I have stored in the array. And here is inserting a particular element. So if I want to insert a particular value, I can use this algorithm. So here I am inserting the element at the end of array. I have an array and it's not full to its capacity, and I want to enter a new value at the end of the tail. So here we, how we can do it? Here is the original array and this has, it has this space empty. So I want to enter the value 100 here. Okay. So what I will do, the algorithm says that array name, नंबर ऑफ एलिमेंट, कितने एलिमेंट उसके अंदर हैं, पोजीशन जहां पे हमको डालनी है, और वैल्यू जो हमें डालनी है. तो हमें बेसिकली यहाँ पे वो बोल रहा है कि अगर हमको एरे, इस एल्गोरिथम का यूज करके, इफ आई वांट टू इंसर्ट इन द मिड, if I want to insert at the tail, no problem. Upper bound is the basically it indicate the block where last value is stored, and I know that array is not full. So if I want to enter the value to the at the end of the array, from the tail side, so all I need to do is increment the upper bound by 1. So plus 1 will make move me to the next block, and there we can easily store the value. So here it is written, upper bound को हमने 1 कर दिया, and अब new value, new upper bound value के अंदर value को store कर दिया. But if I want to enter a value at any specific position, so there is something already stored in that place. If not, if place is empty, then no problem. But because we are not aware, we don't know whether that place is empty or not, so what I will do, I will try to make that space empty by shifting it to, by shifting everything to the right, and then I will simply insert the new value at that particular location. So this is what we are doing in the example. So here I need to insert the value 100 at the index number 3. Okay, so mind it that it is showing the index number, not the position, because index number 3 means fourth position. So here it is. So I will start a loop, and जब तक loop की value जो है counter variable is greater than equal to position, I will keep shifting to the right. So I have started here. I की value मैंने क्या कर दी है n. N is basically total number of element in the array. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. So basically total array में value total size कितना है array का, वो है 6 array का size. ठीक है. So हमने I equal to n. It is the n is basically okay, size of array. So हमने इसे initialize कर दिया. I know that array is not full to its capacity. So what will happen? हमने loop को I की value को चलाते रहेंगे जब तक कि हम उस position पे ना पहुंच जाएंगे. और हम क्या करेंगे? Initialize मैंने किया है इसके full size से. So basically last block उसका खाली है. So हम क्या करेंगे? Right side में value को copy करेंगे. So I+1 में क्या आ जाएगा मेरा? आ जाएगा I आ जाएगा, I की value आ जाएगी. तो यहाँ पे हमने उसको shift कर दिया. And then we will decrement the value, and this way we will keep going until we reach the position where we want to enter the new value. यहाँ पे हम new position पे पहुंच जाएंगे. जैसे ही हम new position में पहुंच जाएंगे तो वहां पे हम जो है अपनी new value को copy कर देंगे. So this is about inserting the value at particular position. Then tail हमने कर ही लिया है. Blank array को हमने insert कर ही लिया है. At any particular position हो गया. Then it's about deleting the element in an array. If I want to delete the element, now one thing you need to remember that whatever we definition, we inside main we write int array of let's say size 10. So हमने array के एक array है जिसका नाम है let's say array1 और उसका size है 10. So जब हम उसके अंदर 10 element को store करते हैं, so it has blocked 10 consecutive location. Now if I delete a particular element, I am only deleting the value. I am not freeing the memory space. So array का size 10 का 10 ही रहेगा. केवल और केवल मतलब इसका delete करने का मतलब ये है कि अब उसके 10 कैपेसिटी में से केवल 5 6 4 जितनी भी वैल्यू बची, केवल कैपेसिटी उसकी इतनी है, उतनी वैल्यू उसके अंदर करंटली स्टोर्ड है. बट array का जो साइज है वो उतना ही रहता है. बिकॉज दिस इज द स्टैटिक डिक्लेरेशन. हमने साइज जो है पहले ही बता दिया है, हम रन टाइम पे नहीं बता रहे हैं और ना ही हम फ्री कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे. For this I need to use the dynamic memory allocation method. So if I want to delete this is if I want to delete the element from the end, basically upper bound is the location where last value is stored. So I will simply decrement the upper bound. If I decrement the upper bound, so now I am saying that my last value is stored up to position 5. Now, so I can enter new value at position 6. So what I will do, I will overwrite that value. Simple that. And if I want to delete from a particular position, so I need to overwrite the value at that location with the value on the right. So जब हम insert करते हैं, then हम right पीछे से शुरू करके value को right side में copy करते जाते हैं. जब हम delete करते हैं किसी position से, तो हम उस position से हम शुरू करते हैं and value को जो है उस position से शुरू करके value को left में लिखते चले जाते हैं. So here is an array and हम करना क्या चाहते हैं, हम basically जो पोजीशन 2 पे जो वैल्यू है हम उसको जो है ओवरराइट करना चाहते हैं. यहाँ पे पोजीशन 2 में वैल्यू क्या है 34 और देखिए उसके मेरा फाइनल एरे क्या है 45 23 डायरेक्टली 12 56 and 20. So now array is of basically 3 to 5 size. Okay, so what I will do in the loop, I will start from the position, जिस पोजीशन की वैल्यू को हमें डिलीट करना है. We are not deleting, basically we are overwriting. So क्या होगा, हम यहाँ पोजीशन से स्टार्ट करेंगे and I will overwrite the value from its right side. So यहाँ पे हमने इसकी वैल्यू को कॉपी कर दिया. So यहाँ पे 2 पे भी अभी 12 है and 3 पे भी 12 है. अब हमारा लूप जो है यहाँ पे है. अब हम क्या करेंगे, इसके राइट साइड की वैल्यू को उसमें कॉपी कर लेंगे. So अब ये भी 56 हो जाएगा, ये भी 56. देखिए यहाँ पे नाउ आई इंक्रीमेंट होकर के यहाँ आया. अब हमने उसके राइट साइड की वैल्यू कॉपी कर ली, 20 हो गया. अब बेसिकली क्या हुआ, मेरा लूप यहाँ पहुंच गया है. सो मेरा जो आई की वैल्यू है वो अपर बाउंड के बराबर हो गया है. इसके आगे कोई उसकी वैल्यू वो कोई भी वैल्यू आगे स्टोर्ड नहीं है. सो अब हम क्या करेंगे, सिंपली एन की वैल्यू को 1 -1 कर देंगे. So मेरा array का size जो है एक कम हो गया, and this is my final array. So if you see, when I am inserting, I am moving to the right side from the tail. I am copying the value and shifting the value to the right, so that the space where I want to insert the new value, we can make that space empty. And when I am deleting, so I am starting from the position where I want to delete, and I am copying the value from its right. उसकी राइट की वैल्यू को उस पोजीशन पे कॉपी करेंगे, आगे बढ़ेंगे जब तक कि हम लास्ट पोजीशन पे नहीं पहुंचे। जैसे लास्ट पोजीशन में पहुंच जाएंगे, हम उसको -1 कर देंगे। सो नाउ मेरे एरे का जो साइज है वो एक कम हमने बोल दिया, ठीक है। बट अभी भी अगर देखा जाए, जो ये ब्लॉक है मेमोरी ब्लॉक, तो अभी भी एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, और उस मेमोरी ब्लॉक में अभी भी 20 वैल्यू है। बट हम कह रहे हैं कि नाउ जो एरे का साइज जो है उसको हमने -1 कर दिया। देन कम्स द सर्चिंग, लीनियर सर्च, बाइनरी सर्च। आपके सिलेबस में केवल यही दो था, लीनियर सर्च। सो इन लीनियर सर्च बेसिकली I am assuming that the best position is that value is available there, starting from the index number 0 up to the last position where the value is stored. I will match every value, and if the one we are looking for is there, I will if I found a match, then I will return the position of that particular value. Binary search says that before using it, you should sort the array into either ascending or descending, whatever way you are using. So assuming that array is sorted in ascending order, so what I will do, for starting, I need the lower bound and upper bound value. Lower bound, the position where first value is stored. Upper bound, position where last value is stored. So every time I take the sum it to and take a basically median, find a median value. I will compare the value stored in the median space. If the value I am looking for is greater than the mid value, then basically I have to move the right side, because I know array is sorted. If it is less than value of the median, then I need to go looking for the left side. And if both of them is not correct, that basically means median value is the one which I am looking for. So that will become the uh, I already found the position I am looking for. So this way I can move. So जब left हो जाएगा, जब हम left में जाएंगे, if the value is a mid is अगर वैल्यू जो है मेरी, जो जिसे हम ढूंढ रहे हैं, दैट इज ग्रेटर देन ए मिड, सो हम राइट साइड में जाएंगे। अपर बाउंड मेरा अनचेंज रहेगा, लोअर बाउंड की वैल्यू हो जाएगी mid+1। सो बैग की वैल्यू जाएगी mid+1, ये बैग ही मेरा लोअर बाउंड है। अगर वैल्यू जो है वो लेस देन है, तो एंड की वैल्यू हो जाएगी mid-1। ओके, सो बेसिकली आई एम cutting half my search space. Then how I can pass the value a value of array in a function call. So I can pass a single element, I can pass an entire array. So if I am passing a single element, so basically I can use the method of call by value or call an address. But if I am passing the entire array, so I can basically I am using the method of call by reference, because the name of function itself is an address. So when I am pass the name of the array as an argument, so I am basically passing the address of the array. So here individual element, array has 5 element, and I need to pass the index value 3. So this is the method of call by value. So when I say add 3, so basically इसका मतलब हो गया 0 1 2 3. So let's change the value 11 12 13 14 15. So जब हम कह रहे हैं कि position 3 value, that means I am talking about value 14. So this is the I have made basically make a copy of value 14, and हमने उसको यहाँ पास कर दिया, उसको num नाम के वेरिएबल में यहाँ रिसीव कर दिया. So num की वैल्यू भी 14 है, और add 3 जो पोजीशन है उसकी वहां पे भी वैल्यू 14 है. So this is the example of call by value. But I want to retain the changes made, then I can use the address. So here I am passing the address. So passing the address, so pointer is receiving the address. Okay, if I want to pass the entire array, I can simply pass the name of array in the function call. So now the array name basically passes the base address, and हमें पता है कि array consecutive location में होता है, तो no issue. Then comes the this is all about the 2D single dimension. Then we have a 2D dimension array, also known as matrix. So the name of the array, and I need to use two index for row and column. So this is the declaration of 2D array. Then here comes the how we can find the address of any particular element given the base address. So I can use two different method, row major and column major. Row major means in memory the elements, the 2D array is stored in this way. So for our reference we can make it like a matrix in two dimensional, but in memory it is basically a stored in a linear sequential manner. So अगर हम रो मेजर ऑर्डर को करेंगे, सो रो मेजर कहता है कि पहले फर्स्ट रो देन सेकंड रो, थर्ड रो. सो रो मेजर ऑर्डर के केस में हमारा जो वैल्यू है वो पहला फर्स्ट रो देन सेकंड रो देन थर्ड रो. इन कॉलम मेजर ऑर्डर में हम कॉलम को स्टोर करेंगे. सो बेसिकली पहला कॉलम, सेकंड कॉलम, थर्ड कॉलम, फोर्थ कॉलम, दिस वे वैल्यू विल बी स्टोर्ड. सो using the formula and given whether it is row major or column major and base address is given, you can find the address. Now this w is the word size. So if I am using an integer and it is not mentioned, we all know that integer takes 2 byte of memory. Nahi mention hai, so we will say is the 2 byte. But if it is mentioned, the compiler, so we know that in all modern compiler has integer as a 4 byte. Okay, so if question may given, then you will use that the value of w. If not given and not mention the kind of compiler, then you need to mention in your uh, solution that you have taken the value of w as this, if not mentioned. And j, and using the value of ij की value यहाँ given है, base address आपको given है, you using the formula you can find the address of the any particular element. And this is the example how you can take input, you all know that. And then how you can pass. Now we are talking about an array with two dimension, row and column. So either I can pass a particular element. So particular element I will mention the index ij वैल्यू को मैं मेंशन करके पर्टिकुलर एलिमेंट को कॉपी कर दे सकती हूँ. ij एलिमेंट को मेंशन करके उसका एड्रेस को पास करके भी मैं पर्टिकुलर एलिमेंट को पास कर सकती हूँ. बट इफ आई वांट, आई कैन आल्सो पास particular row or column. I can pass entire row, I can pass entire column depending on, or I can, if needed, I can pass the entire 2D array. So this is the example of the entire array, entire row, how we can pass the entire row. So this is the example, and then see how we can pass the entire 2D array by basically simply naming the array. Now here when I want to pass the entire 2D array, so I need to only need to name the array, but the definition portion, there I have to mention the name of array is the address. There I need to mention that number of row and column of the particular array, because I need a variable which is able to hold the address of that location. So here is an example of it, you can go through it. So I might be asked you in the Viva how you can pass a 2D array or any multi-dimensional array. So this is all about 2D array. I am not going into depth of it. Similarly, I can have an dimensional array, 3D, 4D, the way it is required, I can have it. This is an example of it. So very common thing to be asked, how you can 2D array, usually students cover by themselves. But if the concept is clear, you can easily tell how you can pass any n-dimensional array. So I might be asking the question. Now there are some specific kind of matrix, sparse matrix. Sparse matrix are those where most of the elements are empty, most of the positions in the array are empty. So two different kind of sparse matrix. एक है आपका lower diagonal and आपका upper diagonal matrix. So lower triangular matrix is the one which has non-zero element in the lower part. So this is an example of lower triangular matrix. Upper triangular, where all the non-zero elements are in the upper triangular part, and lower triangular will be either empty or zero. So this is the lower triangular and upper triangular, when the array has only the element on the main diagonal above and lower it. then this is a very specific special kind of sparse matrix, and it diagonal matrix. Okay, so upper triangular, lower triangular, and tridiagonal. Upper triangular where all the non-zero is on the upper triangular side, lower triangular all non-zero in the lower triangular. Tridiagonal where all the non-zero elements are at the main diagonal, just above it and just below it. Okay, so program usually being called how you write a program to take insert a upper triangular or lower triangular. So the thing that you need to be specific here is the index where you want to store the value. So if you see here, when I want to store the lower triangular matrix, I want to input value of the lower triangular matrix here. Every time, see the value of the position where I want to store, so I will be greater than j, 0 0 greater or equal to 1 0 1 1, 2 0 2 1 2 2, 3 0 3 1 3 2 3 3, 4 0 4 1 4 2 4 3 4 4. So you see in position where I am inserting the value in this square matrix, the position is in every time the position row index is greater equal to the column index, and this will be reverse in case of the upper triangular. Let me show you upper triangular. Here see 1 0 0 0 1 0 2 0 3 0 4. So रो इंडेक्स मेरा जो है वो क्या है, लेस देन और इक्वल टू है जे कॉलम के 1 0 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 4. सो आई की वैल्यू जो है लेस देन और इक्वल टू है जे के. ओके, सो दिस इज अपर ट्रायंगुलर, एंड फॉर this mod of ij should be greater than 1. Oh, that's all about the integer array. Anything specific that you guys want, so I can directly jump to that section. See, what I am telling, most of the things you already know, so you are here basically for the revision, and things are already given in the Google Classroom. So if you want that this specific thing for your revision, so I can directly go to that section also.
Ma'am, can you say the multi-dimensional array using pointers? Now, how can you use multi-dimensional array
See,
using pointers?
I can explain Sagar, but this is what I want to. That's why I specifically mentioned. मैं केवल 2D और 3D को बता करके छोड़ सकती थी, बट ये आपको ये पूछना होगा क्योंकि tomorrow if anyone is having array program, I am going to ask them in the how you can call a or pass a multi-dimensional array. दैट आई विल, अगर मैं अभी एक्सप्लेन कर दूंगी बेटा, बट जस्ट फॉर योर रेफरेंस आप जो है इसके बाद ना क्या कीजिए, आप पासिंग दी मल्टी डायमेंशनल इन प्रोग्राम, मल्टी डायमेंशनल एरे इन सी प्रोग्राम, अगर आपने वो इंडेक्स को समझ लिया, देन आपका कोई डायमेंशनल का एरे को आप पास कर सकते हैं. वी ऑल नो दैट इन केस ऑफ मल्टी डायमेंशनल रो कॉलम एंड हाइट, हम जब 2D कहते हैं तो बेसिकली हम कहते हैं कि रो एंड कॉलम है. जब हम 3D बोलते हैं तो रो कॉलम डेप्थ तीनों हो जाता है हमारा. सो हम स्टार्ट करते हैं फर्स्ट रो का, फर्स्ट कॉलम का फर्स्ट एलिमेंट डी डेप्थ तक, फिर फर्स्ट रो का फर्स्ट कॉलम का d if I is row, j is column and d is depth. So 0 0 d, फिर 0 0 d plus 1, सॉरी 0 0 0 से लेकर के 0 0 d तक हम जाते हैं, फिर उसके बाद हम 0 रो फर्स्ट कॉलम के लिए स्टोर करते हैं. दिस वे इट गोज ऑन. दैट्स व्हाई 3x3 will have total of the how many element, 3x3 into 3, total 27. So just for your reference, because if you see I can, आप एक बार example देखेंगे ना आपको आ जाएगा. So I am not going to ask you direct question, and no, don't need to be worry, whatever you have done in your program हम उसी को देंगे. मैं बहुत complex question नहीं दूंगी, but in Viva I will ask this kind of question. It may be I will give a section of code, एक part आपको code का हम screen पे share करेंगे, and you simply need to tell me if there is something wrong or what will be the output. So this way I will ask the question in the Viva. And one thing that you guys can be just for your relaxation, I will not give any question on file handling. फाइल हैंडलिंग का मैं कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं दूंगी, बिकॉज व्हेन यू डू द फाइल हैंडलिंग, सो आप बेसिकली फाइल हैंडलिंग में आइदर यू विल बी टेकिंग वैल्यू for example, if I say कि you need to maintain a file for student का roll number, name, address and marks for different subject, so आप basically फाइल में आपको स्टोर करना है, so आप यूजर से वैल्यू लेकर के फाइल को स्टोर करेंगे. So if you are using it in a online compiler, so you may, some of you may not be able to run it, but if you have compiler installed in your system, then it would run. So that's why I will not give the online that file handling program, but question may be there. I will ask the question for the viva, but I will not give you program on it. So program, agar if you usually see program maybe for structure, if I ask you a structure program, so there comes the string, there comes the array, there comes the function call and everything. So single structure program requires you to apply all the knowledge you have learned in the last chapters. So I will directly I will move to the string, then I will cover a bit of structure, pointer and preprocessor. Let's another question that maybe I am
Ma'am,
told you the sparse
ma'am,
matrix. So
ma'am,
yes.
can you repeat the last question? Actually, I have some internet issue, so I
Beta, I
cannot
am not
hear.
saying that I will be asking the question. I am telling you what question could be there. All I am saying that I will not give any program for your tomorrow exam on file handling. फाइल
Okay,
हैंडलिंग हम
ma'am.
नहीं दे रहे हैं, बिकॉज क्या होगा, फाइल हैंडलिंग के लिए आपको पूरा पाथ मेंशन करना होता है, तो सम ऑफ यू मे नॉट बी एबल टू गिव द पाथ टू टेक द वैल्यू नेम ऑफ द फाइल फ्रॉम द लोकेशन स्टोर इन योर सिस्टम. सो इस वजह से हम फाइल हैंडलिंग के ऊपर क्वेश्चन नहीं देंगे. बट सी, अगर मुझे एक प्रोग्राम देना, मैं एक सिंपल बात समझा रही हूँ. इफ आई विल गिव यू अ स्ट्रक्चर प्रोग्राम, that structure will, to define a structure, the element may be of integer array or a string. So here comes the application of it, and then you need to take value from the user, so you need to pass the structure in function. So that's why I'm saying the things that you need to be very careful. You have to study everything about the file, and you need to know how the things work, what are the different modes and on, and what does it mean by the mode. Okay. So here
Okay, ma'am.
comes the string. String is basically nothing. It is a collection of character. So we have a specific name. When I say title for the character array, which is the string. So unlike the integer array or float array, the one specific characteristic of a string is that it always end with a null character. So because to know that it is the end place, nothing is written on, after that. While in case of integer or any or float array, we don't have any end marker. So we can think of this null as an end marker for the character array. So here the way the name of the data type and name of array followed by within square bracket the size is the declaration, or I can directly initialize it. So I know that in this hello example, the str is a string and its size is 5. Okay, so and here, as I told you that the always last space is the null, but I have not written it, so by default it will take the last space is null. So for this I have to be careful. So always full insert the value one less than the size of string array. So if the size of array is 5 and I want to insert all 5 values, not possible. I can only insert maximum 4 places, and last place is reserved for the null character. Okay, so here, though on the right side I have written hello, but the size of str is not 5. The size of str is 6, because null character is also, if even though it is not mentioned, but null character is there. So here it is the initialization of array, collection of string and collection of character and string are two different things. So here, as you can see, that it is basically a single word hello. That's why they have made that to put the null, because the concept of null is to store the words and text. So for reading, we can use any of these three function: scanf, gets, and getchar. Scanf, what a scanf is do, scanf take one value at a time and store in the location where I mention it. Gets and getchar is also the same thing. We take the value and store it. But the problem with this scanf is that scanf doesn't accept the blank space. So if I want to insert my full name, name and the surname within a blank space, so using scanf I cannot do it, or I have to customize the scanf to tell it that if there is any blank space, you need to accept it as a value. So string, the delimiters that we will be using here, percentile s is for string. The way we use percentile d for the array, so for string I use percentile s, because string is basically collection of word. Okay. So the gets can also be using gets, takes the starting address of the string which will hold the input, and the string inputted using gets is automatically terminated with the null character. The Here is the example of getchar. Getchar is basically another way of taking input, but one character at a time. Using getchar I cannot take one word. Using getchar I can take single characters. Then come how I can print using scanf. For scanf, we can, the counterpart is printf. For gets, the counterpart is puts. For getchar is the putchar. So similarly, I can use the percentile s str, then I can use the putchar. Now here comes the question. You see that we have three different ways. Now I will ask you, though we know that scanf cannot use the white space as an input, then how we can customize it, or what is the best way of taking string without having the headache of white space or any blank space? Which method is best and why? So this kind of question. Using scanset we can do. So here is an example. So in the scanf function, after this percentile, I can specify what to accept and what not to accept. So in this example, basically this code will stop accepting any character as soon as the user enter and it is not vowel. So what I have written, a e I o u, so this scanf function will accept only a e I o u, nothing else. If I want all the word, all the letters except a e I o u, so I can put a no, caret operator in next to it. So this caret operator before a will tell me accept all the characters. You can accept any character. Now when I say character, then special character, I am also talking about the special characters here. So this will accept everything except a e I o u if I put a caret operator after this. This is the example. Scanf will accept any character that is not defined by the scanf set. So so here, using this customization, you can inform the scanf function that you need to accept the blank space or you need to not accept the blank space. Is by default it is not accepting. So if I give my name as Monica space Singh, it will only take Monica, because white space is not accepted by scanf. So I need to customize it to tell it that no, you need to accept it. You have to avoid the blank space and then go for the other part. So you basically, you need to read everything until there is a new line operator. This I already covered. So if you see, you all have prepared the PDF file. Okay, I told you that everyone needs to submit one single PDF file consisting of all the programs. So those who have their C file with them, they can scan the pages which they have for the assignment which they are covered in college, and make it a part of PDF file. Those who don't have their file, I told you that in the index it is mandatory to mention all the programs, and in the page column section you will simply mention that this particular assignment is in hard copy of file. So I know that these questions you have covered, but you don't have it with them within the file, so it is present in the hard copy. So whenever the college is open, we need to keep the records. Whenever college is open, that time you can submit the files. Okay, so and before coming for the practical exam tomorrow, please go through all the questions. That will help you in your revision. Finding the in case of integer array, we can use the formula of upper bound minus lower bound plus 1 to find the length of the array. And here we in case of string, we have a function, length function, using which we can found the length, or I can write a customized function to calculate the length. For this I will do, I will use a counter variable and start it from 0. So basically I will keep reading the array until I found a value which is null /0. I know that in a string the last value which is present would be null /0. So what I need to do in the basically I need to start reading from the first, and for every value increment the counter until the value appeared is the null value. As soon as we have found it, so we have reached the end, and that is the length of the string. Converting character of a string into uppercase and lowercase. We all know C is a case sensitive, so small a and capital A are two different things. We know the ASCII value of small a to small z is 97 to 123, and for capital A to capital Z is 65 to 91. So we know capital A is 65 and small a is 97, the difference of 32. So if I compare the ASCII value and by adding plus 32 or minus, doing the subtraction of 32, I can easily convert capital to small or small to capital. So that is this next algo will tell you. Converting of string into uppercase. So जब हमको uppercase में करना है, so basically I need to subtract 32. When I want to convert into lowercase, so I will add the value to plus 32, given the value is already not in the range of 97 to 123. Okay. So concatenating means we have two string S1 and S2, and I want to make a new string by by copying the value from the two. So basically what I am doing in concatenation, I will first copy one of the string, and then I will the position where it ends, from the right side next position, I will start copying the next string, and when the second string is ended on the next place, I will simply put the null delimiter. So this is the concatenation. Okay, S1 and S2 are two string. Concatenation procedure will produce a single string where S1 is followed by S2. Obviously, the final space where the concatenated array will be, that space is the length of S1 plus length of S2. अगर ऐसा नहीं होगा, so we cannot copy the value from S1 and S2 both in the final space. So this is all this. Then appending is one string to another string, involve copying the content of the source string at the end of the destination string. Okay, so concatenation में क्या हो रहा है? concatenation में हम एक new array बना रहे हैं, and उस new array में S1 और S2 दोनों को हमने copy कर लिया है. अपेंडिंग में क्या हो रहा है? हमारे पास एक S1 है और एक S2 है. अब S1 हमारा ऑलरेडी लार्ज इनफ टू होल्ड S2 आल्सो, सो S1 के एंड में हम S2 को ऐड कर रहे हैं. वी आर नॉट क्रिएटिंग अ न्यू एरे, आई एम बेसिकली अपेंडिंग वन एरे within the existing array. Okay, so for example, s1 s2 are two string, then appending s1 to s2 means we have to add the content of s1 to s2. So here the thing is important, आप किसमें किसको add करना चाह रहे हैं. So final size of s2 will be s2 plus s1. हम क्या करेंगे, हम एक लूप स्टार्ट करेंगे एंड दैट लूप विल स्टार्ट रीडिंग. हमें s2 के आखिरी में s1 को ऐड करना है. हम s2 में जीरो स्पेस से शुरू करके हम पहुंच जाएंगे जहां तक हमारा नल डेलीमीटर है. नल डेलीमीटर जिस पोजीशन पे है उस पोजीशन से हम सारी वैल्यू को कॉपी करते रहेंगे फ्रॉम s1 एंड जैसे ही हम s1 के नल डेलीमीटर में पहुंच जाएंगे, उस पोजीशन पे हम पहुंचे तो हम सीधे नल वहां लिख देंगे. तो नाउ फाइनल एरे विल बी रेडी. Comparing the two string, this is all about the customize. We have a क्या नाम है, for comparison of two string to tell which one is larger and which one is smaller. So there are other library defined functions also, and I am telling you the user defined function, how you can write the user defined function also. So strcmp is the library function to compare two string. So it will then आपका strcpy, then for copying one from one string to another string. So and length function to find the length of any string. Either you can call the library function or you can write your own user defined function. So be very careful while you read the question. It may ask you to write your own program for doing the task, not to use the library function. It may not. So s1 s2 are two string, then comparing, so either दोनों equal है or any one of them is larger. So here is the program written for it. So first I need to find the length of both the program, length of both the strings, and जब तक कि क्या नाम है हम स्ट्रिंग्स अगर इक्वल है कि नहीं है, अगर दोनों स्ट्रिंग का लेंथ सेम है देन इट मे बी इक्वल. तो हम कंपेयर करके बता रहे हैं कि कौन सा स्ट्रिंग हमारा बराबर है कि नहीं. अगर दोनों का लेंथ बराबर है तो वो इक्वल है, अगर नहीं है तो हम बता सकते हैं कंपेयर करके कौन सा है कि कौन सा नहीं. ठीक है. और in the Google Classroom for this particular topic, I have also provided another PDF where all the library functions are written. This PPT consists of for almost commonly used library function. Here I have shown you in this PPT how you can write the user defined function. So extracting, basically, if you from a given string, if you want to find a particular substring, so this program will tell you how you can extract n character from the given string. Hello world hai and you want to extract or you only the world, or you want to extract the value from position number 7. So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So आप basically उतनी value आपको extract करनी है. You need to see the library function for each of it. I may ask you question, name 5 string library function and the syntax of it. Extracting a substring from the middle. This is the extracting of a substring from the right of the string. Then the insertion operation, insert a string s in the main text. So you already have a string and within the string you want to add a new substring or new word. So इनिशियली एरे के अंदर था XYZ. अब हम चाह रहे हैं कि थर्ड पोजीशन के बाद ट्रिपल ए उसमें ऐड हो जाए. सो एरे में, एग्जिस्टिंग एरे में हमें क्या करना है, कुछ न्यू वैल्यूज को स्पेसिफिक पोजीशन में हमें ऐड करना है एग्जिस्टिंग स्ट्रिंग में. सो व्हाट आई विल डू, द पोजीशन वेयर आई वांट टू एंटर, आई विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द राइट साइड and I will just keep shifting it until I make the space free. Indexing, this is basically if you want to find a substring within a given string. You have a string welcome to the world of programming and you want to find at which position of the string the word world is present. So you want to find s2 within s1. You need to find the position where s2 string s2 is present in s1. Then the deletion from the specific position text, then the position, then length. Insertion is basically existing is there, you are adding new thing, and replacement is the string is there and you are replacing few of its value. So length is not changed. In case of replacement, basically the length in case of this, what will happen, that you are replacing the value of it. Okay, certain things are present and you are basically writing new value in place of it. Then similarly to the 2D array, we can have a 2D string, and 2D string can how what is the example of application for storing the name. So I can define the std name array, and in that array I want to store the name of all the student of CSEB. So this is an example. Here is the again, when we have a string is nothing, basically a character array. So if I am able to pass a integer array into a function, how I can pass a string array into the function, what different things I can perform over it. So again comes the array element passing. In the pointer chapter, now in the pointer chapter, most common question अगर जो मुझे पूछना ही होगा, I will give you a sectional and pre-increment and post-increment operation, how it will be performed. Okay, so if you want you can note it. Pointer में बहुत easy है, that pointer is given what different operation are possible on pointers, and pointer to pointer. Then in the printer function, there is a pointer variable p plus plus p pre and post increment operator कैसे काम करता है if I apply it on the pointer. So that's all will be covered. That's basically the question that comes from the pointer chapter. I can declare, this is the declaration, you all are aware. Let's move to next. This point is important. We can add integer to or subtract integer from pointer, as well as to subtract one pointer from the other. Why we can subtract two pointer? Given we can add to one scalar value to a pointer, we can subtract a scalar value from a pointer. If I subtract, so basically pointer क्या store करता है? Pointer is basically storing the address. So depends on the type of the pointer. अगर वो integer है and my integer का word length is 2, so basically integer takes 2 byte memory for storing a integer value. And pointer मेरा क्या है? Integer. Here is the example. ptr1 and ptr2 are two integer pointers. So if I add 1 to ptr1, so basically मैं next memory location की बात कर रही हूँ. So it will take the address of +2. 100 अगर address है मेरा number का and मैं ptr1 में +1 करूंगी, so basically I am adding next memory location. 2 byte है मेरा उसके लिए, so 102 पे हम पहुंच जाएंगे. जब अगर हम उसमें से एक माइनस करेंगे, दैट मीन्स ptr1 की वैल्यू थी 100 जो कि एड्रेस है मेरा नंबर का. If I -1, that means I am pointing to a memory location with the address number as 98, because वो इंटीजर टाइप का है. अगर हम दो पॉइंटर को सब्ट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं, गिवन दैट बोथ द पॉइंटर आर बेसिकली पॉइंटिंग द एलिमेंट्स ऑफ सेम एरे. अगर सेम एरे के एलिमेंट को हम पॉइंट कर रहे हैं तो हम बेसिकली सब्ट्रैक्ट करके ये बता रहे हैं कि ये दोनों पॉइंटर के बीच में कितने एलिमेंट स्टोर हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल मेरा एरे का साइज है 10, ptr1 जो है फर्स्ट एलिमेंट को इंडेक्स 0 को पॉइंट करता है एंड ptr2 मेरा इंडेक्स 7 को पॉइंट करता है। तो जब मैं माइनस करूंगी दोनों दोनों को, सो हम बेसिकली बता रहे हैं कि बिटवीन ptr1 and ptr2 7 integer elements are stored. Okay, we don't multiply two integers, sorry, two pointers, we don't divide two pointers, बिकॉज जब हम पॉइंटर को मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे, पॉइंट एक एक ने एड्रेस स्टोर कर रखा है 100, दूसरे ने स्टोर कर रखा है एड्रेस 1 से 1000, तो जब हम मल्टीप्लाई कर रहे हैं तो हम बात कर रहे हैं, बता रहे हैं बेसिकली एक मेमोरी लोकेशन जिसका एड्रेस है 1000 एंड 00, that block address may not be existing, so that's why it is prohibited. So division of two integers, division of division of two pointers and division multiplication of two pointers are not available, are not allowed. Now you will say, then why we are doing this? So it should be available, but here we are not talking about the pointer, we are talking about the value stored at that address. Okay, so this is valid, but अगर मैंने ये लिखा होता, दिस इज नॉट वैलिड, बिकॉज यहाँ पे हम कह रहे हैं 5 मल्टीप्लाइड बाई ptr1. ptr1 का मतलब क्या होगा? ptr1 का मतलब है एड्रेस, सो अज्यूमिंग कि नम1 का एड्रेस है 100, सो हम कह रहे हैं कि एक मल की वैल्यू क्या हो जाएगी 5 into 100, एक इंटीजर वेरिएबल का वैल्यू एड्रेस, इंटीजर वेरिएबल के अंदर हम एक एड्रेस ब्लॉक की वैल्यू को 5 से मल्टीप्लाई करें, दैट्स व्हाई इट्स नॉट अलाउड. ठीक है, similarly, when using pointer, unary, increment and decrement operator have this you need to learn. Now I am leaving it. This is very important कि जब हम increment और decrement operator को use करते हैं along with pointer, how it works. This you can only learn through example. आप इस line को write करके नहीं याद कर सकते, because it is compiler dependent. I am telling you. Then the null pointer, we know that for any the pointer is basically used to store the address. If I want to does not fix which memory location it is using, so I can make it to point to a null value. So if I write this, it is basically a null pointer, which a special pointer which is pointing to nothing. So a null pointer is a special pointer value that is known not to point anywhere. It is basically now pointing to nothing. Later on, if I want to, I can change the value of this null pointer. Then generic pointer. Generic pointer is basically a pointer which doesn't have any data type. We all know that in the declaration part, or the array need to have its data type. Integer pointer can store the address of only integer variable, but if I don't want to fix it, so this way I can do it. So here we have variable x and a character variable ch. So if I make the data type of the pointer as void, so basically gp is a special kind of pointer which is able to hold the address of both integer variable and character variable, because it doesn't have any specific data type. Okay, we have already seen how we can use, how we basically use this pointer for passing the argument. So whenever I am passing the argument using the call by address, so I am using the pointer in the definition section. Then how to pointers an array. This is showing, this is an example where I am passing a here I am passing basically a particular element using pointer. Okay, and this is an example where I am reading, I can print the array, read and print the array both using the pointer. So here we have taken the scanf, but in the printing section using the pointer I am printing the array. I can have a pointer to the array, a pointer basically pointing to a 2D array. Here, this pointer is pointing to a single dimension. So basically, pointer to array. This pointer is now the pointer has the address of base address of the array. So by unit incrementing, I can access all the elements of this array named as ARR. Similarly, I can have an pointer pointing to n dimensional array. So this is the example. Individual element of the pointer to a two-dimensional array. So this pointer is basically pointing to a two-dimensional. Now, this is your homework. You have seen how I can use a pointer to point a single dimensional, how I can use a pointer to point a two-dimensional array. Now there's two things: pointer to array and array of pointers. These are two different things. Again, I am repeating: pointer to array. So basically there is a pointer which is pointing to the elements of array. Now the element may be the element of a single dimensional array, and maybe this pointer is pointing to a two-dimensional or n-dimensional array. Another thing is array of pointer. Array of pointer, basically we have a array where every element itself is a pointer. So this is a special kind of array. So the array may be integer or float array. When it is an integer array of pointer, it means the array is a collection of integer values where every element is basically an integer pointer. It is pointing to some other address. So how we write the array to pointer and pointer array of pointers and pointer to array, this declaration, this is very important: array of pointers and pointers to array. So this is your homework. Just see the syntax of how you can write it. Similarly, this is how we can use a string. But by having a character pointer storing the base address of a string, we can access all the elements of the string array. Array of pointer. See, this is the declaration of array of pointer. So here the array is of integer type. Basically, this ptr is a specific array which is collection of 10 integer pointers. Okay, if I so if I don't write it, and this is ptr which is collection of 10 integer variables. This is PTR, a special array which is collection of 10 integer pointers. Yeah, every element of this PTR array is basically a integer kind of variable. Sorry, integer kind of pointer. Then pointer to function. Pointer is what? Pointer is basically a variable which is able to hold the address. Now the address will be address of a variable, or address may be address of a function. Function is also when we declare and we define function. So the function also get some memory block. You know that recursive function use a stack kind of thing so that we can hold the value. Similarly, so we can have a pointer to function. So this is the syntax of it. Here we made basically pointer to a function which is returning the integer value. So pointer to array, array of pointer, pointer to function. You all need to very carefully understand the syntax of it. Again, I am repeating: pointer to array, array of pointer, pointer to function. People usually get confused with the syntax. I will, if for example I will give you one syntax, I will ask you what this line is showing. It is an array to pointer, pointer of array, array of pointers, or pointer to function. So that is all about the pointer chapter. Structure, this is the format for structure: struct space struct name. So we need to define a structure kind of variable. We need to use the keyword struct and then followed whatever name I want. Structure is basically collection of different type of data. Integer, all variable, all value should be integer. String, all value should be character. But in structure, I can have different elements. So using the keyword struct, I can declare it. and data type space variable name data type space. So under one heading, so this is a special variable. For example, student is a special kind of variable which has three element, so three member of it. So whenever I will use student, so student need this variable, student need to have a roll number, have a name, have a course, and a fees value. So one variable with different elements using the typedef keyword. So every time here we are giving the prototype, so basically it is a user defined variable. So I told you ki student is a new data type where every variable of student data type will have four elements. So when I declare the variable of this data type, I need to write the data type name space then variable name. So I will writing struct space student space the variable name. If I don't want to write this lengthy declaration, I can use the struct typedef keyword and I can name this, give it a alias name, and directly I can use it to declare the data type. Next, I will show you the example. This is how here we have given the declaration of all the variables, sorry, of that particular structure variable, and then struct space variable name, and here I am declaring the variable of that struct data type. Or I can write the definition, and wherever necessary I can then declare the variable. Okay, I can declare right after this curly braces and then last में this semicolon, or I can end the semicolon here and using the data type space variable name syntax I can name it. The thing is important here in the whenever we are declaring giving the definition of a structured data type, I always need to end the semicolon by end the curly braces with a semicolon. If you don't write it, it will show an error. We have seen we have declared our structure data type name as student, which has roll number, name, here we have declared roll number, name, course, and fees. And here I am declaring the variable of those data type. So stud1 stud1 is of student data type, and I have initialized it. If I want to give a specific value at any point, or I want to take the value from the user using scanf, I can do that. And but for that, using accessing the element, I need to use the dot operator. So stud1 dot roll number. So basically हम stud1 variable के roll number element की value रख रहे हैं. Dot, by using dot I can use access the element of the structure data type. Because name element is a string, so I can take the value from user using the scanf, or I can directly pass the value in the function using the strcpy. So what this will do, this will in the name element it will copy the value of Rahul, in the course element it will copy the value of BCA, and for fees I have assigned the value of 45,000. Okay, here is an example. Here I am taking the value of all the structure element from the user. So first I need to give the declaration of what kind of structure variable I am defining. So here I have defined that student is basically a new structure type data type, structure type variable. This is the definition, and stud1 is a variable of this struct student type. Now I want to take the value of all the elements of this stud1. So stud1 dot roll number scanf का use करके हमने ले लिया. Name is a string, so using percentile s in scanf I have taken the name. Fees is a float, so using scanf I have taken the value of fees from the user. Date of birth is a character, so I string, so basically using that I have using percentile s I have taken the value of DOB from the user. Now using printf and the dot operator, I can print the all element. So basically important thing is, if I want to access the element of any structure variable, I need to use the dot operator. The kind of element, whatever it is, depending on that, I will use the delimiters. Similarly, I can have nested structure. Within a structure, I can use another one. For example, in the last previous slide, I have used a student structure where DOB is a single character array. Okay, if I want, or name is a single character array. If I want first name, mid name, last name, that is also possible. For date of birth, month, year, day. This is an example. Hmm. Okay. So यहाँ पे first I have declared a DOB name structure variable and give a definition of it. So DOB structure has 3 elements: int, day, month, and year. And then I have declared another structure variable named student, and within student I have nested this DOB. So basically struct DOB, one element of the student structure student data type is the date structure. ओके, सो स्ट्रक्ट डीओबी स्पेस डेट. सो एक एलिमेंट जो है मेरा स्टूडेंट वेरिएबल का, वो इटसेल्फ एक स्ट्रक्चर टाइप, डीओबी स्ट्रक्चर टाइप का वेरिएबल है. सो फॉर रोल नंबर, इफ आई वांट टू, stud1 is a variable of student data type. So stud1 dot roll number, stud1 dot name, stud1 dot fees. But when I have to access the element of date of this date, so stud1 dot day, basically date dot day, stud1 dot date dot month, stud1 dot date dot year, because this is nested. So date is the direct member, and because it itself is a structure variable, so need to name the elements of it. Similarly, I can have, because structure is a variable, if I have a collection of similar type of structure, then it becomes an array of structure. So I have student, student variable, we have a variable named student, std1, std2, std3. These are all variables of student data type. If I have a collection of different elements of student data type, that becomes an array of structure. This is an example of array of structure. For having the integer array, what we do, int space name of the variable followed by square bracket. Similarly, this is the data type. It is telling me a structure type of structure data type, then the name, and followed by the square bracket. Within we mention the size of the array. So I am telling that stud is an student structure, student data types array, where every element, every value, every value will have 4 elements: roll number, name, course, and fees. So using the loop, I can take the value of it, then passing the individual element and passing the entire structure into a function as an argument. Point x, point is a structure data type with 2 element x and y. So अगर हम point data type के किसी variable को कैसे pass कर सकते हैं function में? So here by mentioning the element, I can pass it. So I am here I am telling that p1 is a point data type with 2 value, with 2 element, 2 and 3. So here I am passing both the elements. Same example, and here I have passed if I want to pass a specific element, so I have mentioned the specific element. If I want to pass only one of it, I can pass only one of it. So basically the name of variable dot element, this way I can pass any specific element of a structure variable. If I want to pass the entire structure, by simply passing the name of structure, I can do that. So here I am passing the variable point type of variable p1. So when I am passing the point type of variable p1, so basically I can access both the element of it, both the x and y element. Then similarly, as we have pointer which is able to hold the address of any specific, for integer pointer which is hold to address of integer variable, similarly we can have structure type pointer which is able to hold the address of a structure variable. But the thing is, when I access the when using the pointer, when I access structure variable element, we use this pointing to operator. So for a student data type, std1 is a variable. So std1 has name, roll number, fees and date of birth. So std1 dot roll number, I am accessing the roll number element. std1 dot name, I can access the name. But now I have a pointer which holds the address of std1. How I can access it? Using this pointing to operator. So it has hold the address of stud, not now I can access the element ptr अंडरस्कोर पॉइंटर वेरिएबल नेम एरो एलिमेंट नेम, हम उसकी वैल्यू को डाल सकते हैं. पॉइंटर वेरिएबल नेम एरो, सो जिस स्ट्रक्चर पॉइंटर के अंदर हमने एड्रेस को स्टोर किया है उस स्ट्रक्चर पॉइंटर का नाम, एरो एलिमेंट का नाम, और हम एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. So that is all about the structure. The another thing is union. The difference between structure and union is that same to structure में we can have different type of element, different data type element. Union we can have different data type element. In case of structure, for example, in a student we have 4 element: name, roll number, fees and date of birth. In union we can also have 4 element. Student is a union data type and with 4 element: name, roll number, date of birth and fees. But स्ट्रक्चर में हर एक एलिमेंट के लिए एक अलग मेमोरी लोकेशन होता है, बट इन यूनियन हर एक एलिमेंट के लिए अलग मेमोरी नहीं होता है. अमंग ऑल द एलिमेंट जिसका मेमोरी रिक्वायरमेंट ज्यादा होगा केवल वही मेमोरी ब्लॉक होगा. सो फॉर एग्जांपल स्टूडेंट के पास था नेम जिसका साइज है 10, रोल नंबर एक सिंगल इंटीजर वेरिएबल, फीस एक सिंगल इंटीजर वेरिएबल, एंड फॉर एग्जांपल डेट ऑफ बर्थ को भी हमने इंटीजर लिया हुआ. सो व्हाट हैपन इन केस ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर, इन सब के लिए अलग अलग होगा. नेम का साइज 10 है, सो 10 ब्लॉक. फॉर फीस इंटीजर 2 बाइट, फॉर रोल नंबर 2 बाइट, फॉर फीस 2 बाइट. बट जब हम यूनियन से सेम डेफिनेशन को हम यूनियन टाइप का बताएंगे तो वहां पे केवल 10 बाइट स्टोर होगा, क्योंकि नेम एलिमेंट का सबसे ज्यादा मेमोरी रिक्वायरमेंट है. एंड जब भी हम जिस वैल्यू को स्टोर करेंगे वो वैल्यू रहेगी, जब हम नेक्स्ट एलिमेंट की वैल्यू को देंगे पुरानी वैल्यू को वो भूल जाता है. That is all about the union. That is the main difference. Then आपका enum था. Enum, using the keyword enum we can define our own data type. For example, आप एक कलर नाम का डेटा टाइप बताना चाहते हैं. कलर हमारा डेटा टाइप है और जब हम किसी नए डेटा टाइप को बताते हैं तो हमें ये भी बताना है वो क्या डिफरेंट वैल्यूज ले सकता है. स्ट्रक्चर जब हम बता रहे थे, स्ट्रक्चर में हम बता रहे हैं नया वेरिएबल नेम, बट जो उसके एलिमेंट्स हैं वो एलिमेंट ऑलरेडी नोन डेटा टाइप के एलिमेंट, या तो इंटीजर हो सकता है, फ्लोट हो सकता है, कैरेक्टर हो सकता है, या कोई और स्ट्रक्चर हो सकता है. सो हम पता है इंटीजर होगा तो इंटीजर के रेंज के अंदर वैल्यू हो सकती है. बट अगर हम चाहते हैं कि एक कलर डेटा टाइप हो जिसकी वैल्यू जो है रेड, ग्रीन, येलो, ब्लैक, ऑरेंज ही हो सकता है, यही उसका पूल है, इसके अलावा और वो कोई वैल्यू नहीं ले सकता है, दैट वी कैन डू यूजिंग द enum कीवर्ड. So that's all beta, not possible for me to speak anymore. So I already shared the link. Please go through it and cover the file handling on your own. I cannot speak anymore. It's been more than almost 2 hours.
मैम
Hope that I have covered the main things. Yes beta.
मैम मे भी कल मेरा थोड़ा डॉक्टर के पास जाना है. मे भी मेरा 10-15 मिनट लेट हो सकता है, मतलब 10-15 हो सकता
See, the thing is, I will start practical from 10 and it will end at 1 p.m. ठीक है. Now बेटा, one thing you need to understand, 3 घंटे का टाइम हम दिए हैं, ठीक है. अब 3 घंटे में बिकॉज अगर ये कॉलेज होता हम आपको अंदर नहीं आने देते, बिकॉज ये कॉलेज नहीं है तो आपके ऊपर है, आप अगर लेट आओगे आपके पास टाइम कम होगा, आपको असाइनमेंट कंप्लीट करोगे उतने नंबर मिलेंगे, आप असाइनमेंट अगर आपने क्वेश्चन नहीं कंप्लीट किया तो मैं मार्क्स नहीं देने वाली हूँ, ठीक है, आप जितना
Yes,
करोगे
ma'am. Yes,
उतना
ma'am.
मिलेगा। सो यू आर मेकिंग योर सेल्फ इन अ टफ पोजिशन, you will not have 3 hours, you will have less than that.
Yes, ma'am.
So my suggestion would be you join by 10, you try to complete it as fast as possible, give your viva, then you are free.
Okay,
आप
ma'am.
अगर
Okay.
पहले अपने अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए जाओगे, प्रॉब्लम ये हो जाएगा कि देन आपके पास आपका टेंशन है कि मुझे अभी ज्वाइन करना, अभी मैं कैसे करूंगा, यू कैन नॉट
Yes,
डू इट
ma'am.
ऑन मूव। I told you for the moment you enter the exam, you need to switch on your camera until you have finishes your exam. ठीक है, सो आप 3 घंटे का टाइम है, आपको मैं क्वेश्चन दूंगी, आप अगर आधे घंटे में कर देते हैं नो इशू, यू डोंट नीड टू वेट फॉर अनदर 2.5 आई विल टेक योर वाइवा फर्स्ट एंड यू आर फ्री टू गो।
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So I already shared the link beta, those who want they can go and see the other